there.
There go the marimbas, our music cued out. We're live now on the internet, on the webs, on the YouTubes. This is Alan Levine from Open Education Global with another I count on doing 15 of these this week. Live webcast for Open Education Week. Somehow it got to be Thursday. I thought today was Monday still, but it's been quite a week around the world. And we are doing another session where we have no agenda except having a conversation with some interesting folks who will talk about their project interest and maybe even the weather or what kind of. I just saw an animal walk by the window outside. I'm curious what it is. But with that, I just want to we've just convened around the virtual coffee table and we're getting we met up somewhere and we're saying hello and I'm going to introduce my friend Karen, and she'll say and she gets to meet Todd and Robert, and so just let us know, Karen, of course, who you are, where you are, and I don't even have a question. Something else interesting that happened today. How about that?
Okay, cool. Thanks, Alan. It's great to see you and the other folks here. I am Karen Cangialosi, and I am based in Western Massachusetts. It's Northampton, Massachusetts area. Currently working with the RIOS Institute, which stands for Racially Just, Inclusive, and Open STEM Education. All the words that you're not allowed to say in the U.S. right now. But that's our institute, that's our organization, and I'm kind of the person that does things with open education and open science and looking at integrations there. And previously, I was a biology professor for almost 30 years at Keene State College in Keene, New Hampshire. Worked a little bit for OEGlobal. I actually miss working with Alan dearly. Did a couple of other little things before I kind of landed here right now, and just really happy to be talking with all of you folks today about what's going on. So,
Karen, I got to meet you at Keene once, and I think we met at the Open Ed conference. And so, Karen, meet Todd, a good friend of mine, and a very calm. He's very a genteel person.
Hey, hi, Todd.
Wow.
Very genteel.
That's the way I feel, actually, just like that, right? That's the way things are down here, actually, is just like that, right?
Yeah.
What a mess.
What's in the background there? What are all those? What's going on with the introduction reading discussion?
So I invented these. I love manipulatives. When I learned to be a teacher, I learned about handouts and manipulatives, and so this is like a manipulative, and you can kind of organize your course because, as you may know, there was so much discussion about what an online course might look like and the series of things a student might experience going through them. So, but the real trick is that they're magnetic, right? So like that. And if I had a marker, faculty always steal them, but if I had one, you could draw things on here too. So, you know what I mean? So
yeah,
right.
And that room that you're in looks like it has whiteboards all the way around.
Sorry, I know this is not my office. This is
I like it.
This is our little creativity studio. It has an accent wall over there,
right? Space, yeah.
Which costs about $800 billion for somebody to paint. State funding. But yeah, it's got the whiteboards that are magnetic all the way around, so we can kind of play. It does look like the modern asylum look. I know. See, I know. I should take you out on a trip right now because I'm very interested in how things look. I was able to get the freaking accent wall. That was like remarkable. But yeah, it's missing plants, number one. It's missing kind of
Windows, maybe?
windows.
Windows.
I know, right? Well, it is an internal room. It has a whopper of a TV, though, which we watch Netflix on all the time. But yeah, state government work, right?
Wow. It's kind of where your severed innie lives, or
I know. I just been watching that too, right? Yeah. Actually, I work in a super here. Let me just show you.
Well,
I
who
came
are
in
you?
here just not to bother other people, but so this is our faculty. Like, you know, we have little posters that are I made, like, that represent our faculty work. We have some books here with one plant, right? So doesn't that look nice? And you can sit here and work, right?
Nice.
And then there's the bookcase. Over here is actually a nice couch with fun books, and yet, most important, another plant.
2 plants.
Right? Over here,
wow.
3
there's
plants.
a big poster I made and another plant, some artwork over here, another poster from some vendor selling us tables, but yet, right, another plant. Look at that, baby. Woo! And then over here, we have another plant. Look at that guy. Right? I know. So this is our really nice space, but you're right about the severance vibe in here. It's kind of but I don't want to bother other people.
Actually, this is kind of fun to like have people show us around their spaces. I'm getting an idea. So what is this institution that you're an asylum in?
This is the University of Washington Bothell campus here. I don't think my I could send you a whole video on this story, but I won't. But Alan, just so you can see this, I know you've seen this before, but that wasn't actually my office. That's like outside of my office. But here is my little workspace, right?
Yeah.
Nice plant.
Yeah.
See, Alan, that's a gift right there from Alan to me when I left to move up here from Arizona. He took that photograph on his porch back in Arizona. My mom made that when she was in her 20s. This is a beautiful piece of art that an artist I know made, right?
It's I think it's good to know what people surround themselves in their workspace. I think it's really illustrative.
Do you remember Howard Rheingold's office tour, or his tour of his like little workspace?
Yeah, I got to visit it once. I saw his shed.
Oh my God!
I camped in his front yard. I pitched a tent in his yard.
Oh my gosh! Wow.
Yeah. Another story, but great to have you, Todd. And Todd is just there. Vahi said there's plenty of them. I almost missed the pun there, Vahi. Thank you. And just to show, like, you never know what's going to happen. Robert, you might have to top that.
You mean in terms of the workspace?
Yeah, or just the unexpectedness of what you do.
Oh, I see. Don't think I can top that, actually. But yeah, my name is Robert Lawson. I'm an educational developer at Norquest, and a big part of my focus is on developing press books, textbooks with faculty. So we've published approximately 8 textbooks, and since we've started our publication program, we've managed to save students about $1.7 million at the college. So 52% of our courses are now zero textbook cost. And so we're on target to really get to becoming a ZCred institution, or largely ZCred, by 2030. That was our major goal. One wrench in that plan is that we are facing some budget challenges, and so that might delay some of the production of our open textbooks, but that just means we have to find creative ways to implement open. So we're looking at more open pedagogy and getting the students on board more with helping to develop resources. So it's an interesting time at Norquest, and we in our 2030 plan, we had planned to host OEGlobal, I think, and it was sort of a long shot. We thought, well, why not? We'll speculate we'll host it in 2028 or something like that. And we ended up hosting it in 2023, which is where I really got to know Alan. So it's been a great journey.
Well, great. And I mean, stay a little bit more because, first of all, Norquest College is in Edmonton, Alberta, and it's a community college. And I know a lot of people don't necessarily think too much about community colleges in Canada, but they're not that exotic. So what frames the description of Norquest as a community college?
Well, it's really an institution that is very diverse, and it's sort of the first. Well, in a lot of cases, it's the major institution for academic upgrading and for new Canadians who are interested in upgrading their skills. And that really informs our strategic plan, because our plan is called We Are Who We Include. And everything is, our goals, our vision are there to help support accessible education and to support diversity. And I think that's really the mandate of a lot of community colleges in Canada, is trying to promote that accessibility, that accessible learning, because there are many institutions where, there are a lot of new Canadians coming to learn English or upgrade their skills, and Norquest is really in line with that.
It's fantastic, and it was exciting to see it up close. And now we're at the point where we just get to talk about whatever we want to. And I know some of you came with some things that you wanted to share. I'm really interested, Karen, to learn more, because it's been a while. This is just my chance to catch up with Karen too about what RIOS is doing. You mentioned about the intersection of open science and pedagogy, but how is that playing out now through RIOS?
Yeah, so I'm definitely involved in a project that looks at intersections of open pedagogy and open science. And I was sort of just struck by something that Robert had just said about, because of our funding not being where it is, maybe we have to do more open pedagogy stuff. So it's kind of interesting to see that that's like where people are saying, oh yeah, maybe now is the time. But in RIOS, we run learning communities for faculty and staff. And I thought it would be kind of a cool idea to look at these intersections. It's something I've been talking about for a while. Like, people think there's the open science world, and that's where scientists do science. We want them to do it openly for all these different reasons. And then there's open education, and that's all about students. But we don't really integrate the two enough. And so this learning community is about looking at how do we use open pedagogical strategies to teach students about open science. And a lot of it for me is that we often hear people touting all the great benefits of open science, which of course, most science isn't done openly, right? Like, for years, people have talked about why and how to do science openly. And it's pitched at established scientists. It's pitched at people that are already successful as scientists. And so we're kind of taking the stance that we really need to start with undergraduates. And it's not like there haven't been any programs to teach undergraduates about open science, but they're not very big. They're not very comprehensive. They're not very huge. The one comprehensive program that I do know about is in Canada. So we're really trying to get faculty to think about how to bring open science into the undergraduate curriculum, but how to use open pedagogical strategies, which is about students creating and contributing and perhaps constructing their own OER, in order to learn about open science, in order to actually practice the tools of open science, like having open websites where you openly share your open data and use the data of others, for example. And so we are in the midst of sort of talking about that, grappling about what does that look like? How do we use those tools, and how do we bring those intersections to folks that are thinking about how to do this? So, yeah.
And what? Just sorry, I'm not familiar. What, like, where are the people coming from that are participating in your learning communities?
Yeah, so the RIOS Institute has a lot of members. I forget the exact number of our members, mostly faculty and staff. They're all they're mostly U.S. based, and mostly in the Northeast. So we have a lot of faculty that come from institutions, anything from R1s to non-R1s, community colleges, that are just all about trying to do a better job with science education reform in general. You know, that the sort of mode of teaching science to students where weeding people out is the predominant culture. Science is too hard for you. You can't do it. We're going to weed you out. And like, how do we find better ways to teach science to students, not just make it more active, but more inclusive, engage students, help students to learn and be better at science instead of the kind of crappy science education that's been around for a really long time. And so our goal at RIOS is to integrate things that are happening in science education reform with a social justice framework, with an open education framework. So that's kind of those three pieces there. Like, how do we take science education, STEM ed reform, open education, and social justice, and look at those intersections for how we can do better at providing a better kind of STEM education. And so this learning community is like, how can we actually teach students about open science and get them to do things like, how can they create projects that actually benefit their local and regional communities? How can they actually do things that address some of the intractable global problems that people are facing? How can they create OER around that, which is actually the way of thinking about how open science operates? You create something, you share it, you put it out there, you learn about it, you bring it back, and iterate upon it. So those are all the pieces. So we have a lot like a few hundred members that are in the RIOS community from a variety of colleges and universities. And I can share the website.
Yeah. Do you want to do a screen share?
Sure.
Yeah, give us a tour.
Let me see if I can figure out. Is that the present thing?
Yeah. And then you get an option. Yeah.
Share screen. Share screen. Okay, I won't share my calendar. Okay. Can you see this?
Yeah, I'm gonna put it on stage. There we go. There's
okay.
Yeah.
So this is the main website for the RIOS Institute. And, our mission by asking, open for whom, RIOS imagines an open education is the radical idea that education should be affordable, accessible, equitable, inclusive, and relevant to everyone, regardless of their background. So again, we have a lot of projects, but basically our learning communities and our working groups are the two big things that we have going on. Working groups are sets of folks that come together to work on a project. We have funding up to like $4,000 for that. So if anybody wants to put together a RIOS working group proposal in line with our mission, you can come to the website here. It's this riosinstitute.org and work together on something that you would produce as a product at the end. Products become openly licensed. They get shared on what's called the CUBES Hub, which is another acronym for an organization that has places where a lot of STEM openly licensed resources live on the CUBES Hub. And so here are some things that are happening right now. Social Justice Advocacy Manual for Survival. We have a lot of folks that are trying to address the anti-DEI stuff that's happening in the US right now. What are some acts of resistance instead of us all running around going, oh my God, what are we going to do? People are trying to create survival manuals. And there's another working group that's in the works that isn't on this website yet, where they're trying to put together like a manual that's going to help people address some things. And here's some previous working groups kind of scroll your way through and see. We've had stuff around debunking the myth that race is biological. So we have a lot of like science-oriented pieces that we do here. And so the learning communities are less product-oriented and more just about learning stuff. And so this is the one I'm running right now, the Integrating Open Science with Open Pedagogy. Carlos Gollier and I are doing that together. And we have a few other things, alternative grading, lot of stuff going on. We have a podcast that's run by Brian Dewsbury. He is awesome. There he is. There's Brian. He's an associate professor at Florida International University. He's really well known for inclusive teaching in STEM. And he's a fantastic guy. Alan, you should totally get him as a guest on one of your shows or something. Maha brought him to Egypt recently to speak because he's just such an amazing guy. So yeah, I can stop the.
No, I can just remove it.
Okay.
And I got to put people back on the stage. There we go. No, that's really neat. Like, it always seems like science, there's so many things that are hands-on and the community projects and, stuff where students can collect data in the field. It always seems like should be easy to do and exciting. So, especially with concerns for climate right now and
absolutely
energy and resources. I guess would you ever think that you had to have educators create a survival guide?
It's crazy.
That we do?
It's really crazy.
Yeah.
And I also want to say, we are STEM educators, but we're really strongly in favor of our colleagues in the humanities, the interdisciplinary approach. None of the work that we do in STEM is going to be valuable, useful, or good if we don't really integrate the humanities focus and the why and the how and the ethics of the work that we're doing. And I hear about humanities getting defunded around the country, and it's just greatly just stressing to those of us that are also STEM educators and in STEM, the world as a whole, those of us that are educators, thinking people. So
yeah. All right, awesome. And we had some resources to check out. I know Robert has a project that I know I was interested in hearing. Do you want to talk a little bit about your storytelling project, Robert?
Yeah, sure. And I just wanted to mention that at OEGlobal Brisbane, there was a presentation on place-based learning in Hawaii and using open pedagogy in conjunction with science students. And it was really interesting for us. And it kind of aligns with, the local concept of land-based learning in Cree culture and incorporating that component into science teaching, the land-based, place-based learning component, and then the sort of traditional Western approach as well. So, yeah.
I feel like I remember hearing about that from the keynote speaker at
Darian. Yeah, probably from Darian.
So,
But so I want to I want to just say some words of thank you to Heather Bruce Satram at Montgomery College in Maryland, because she really inspired this storytelling project that we're engaging in at Norquest. And for her project, she interviewed new Americans. Some of her students who were new to the United States and their settlement challenges and experiences. And I thought, wow, this would really work great at Norquest because it's such a diverse institution with students from over 70 different countries. And so we took that idea and we developed it into a project where we're going to interview 5 faculty and staff and 5 students and record these interviews about their settlement experiences and challenges in coming to Canada. And then we're going to put them into a press book and publish them as an OER. And we managed to get support from the city of Edmonton. So we won I think it was a $40,000 grant to support this project, anti-racism grant for the city of Edmonton. And that's really helping to support with the organization, the multimedia, and the editing and everything else. And we're hoping to pilot this next fall. So we have some obligations under the grant to publish some clips of these video interviews to social media, to our Norquest website, and then we're going to publish the book later in the year. So it's really exciting because I think we just have such a rich diversity of Norquesters, and to draw on those experiences, I think will really provide a lot of insight into what the settlement journey is like and the challenges along the way and the difficulties people face in adjusting to a new society. So I'm really looking forward to the finished project.
That's great. So the stage that you're in is right now you are.
Well, we received the ethics board approval in January, and we've been doing recruitment now.
Right.
And the response has been fantastic. We started to recruit in February, and we have, I think, approximately 15, 16 faculty and staff who are interested in being interviewed. And we've just started the student recruitment, but we already have 4 students. So it seems to be engaging people. So it's great to hear.
That's wonderful. I was just thinking like somewhat of a tangent. Over the summer, I was talking to my wife's uncle, who's worked long years in the agency of Canada, and I think he was in Edmonton, where they would be the first welcomers for newly arrived refugees and immigrants. And I had to ask, like, what they saw in like people's expression who are coming from different parts of the world, and they land in Canada. I mean, it's like it's got to be like coming to a different planet. And I can't remember all the details, but it's like there's so much excitement, and people were just so grateful to have a place, and they were responsible for like getting them housing and set up at first, and then helping settle into the communities. And I think this was like 20 or 30 years ago that Canada was doing this. So really remarkable, and so many rich stories there.
There may have been some exaggerations in the presentation of Canada to people who before they were here.
Well, he said they had, they would arrive here with like, not footwear or anything, and there was snow on the ground, but they were excited to to play in the snow. It was.
I remember when I was at the University of Manitoba, and there was a cohort of Brazilian students who arrived in January, and they thought it was the worst place on earth because it was like minus 30 Celsius. Yeah, so it's quite a shock.
And it's just, it's good because it's kind of like, some of the cliche of your typical Canadian is really not even valid anymore. And I mean, just want to notice our local Safeway here in Moose Jaw, they've redesigned everything. And all of a sudden, there's this great variety of food. Like there was I couldn't even find good Mexican food here. Now there's like everything. I picked up these Syrian breadsticks, and it's just wonderful to have that represented now in the food available here.
I think Moose Jaw is such a Canadian name too.
That's true.
Well, later I'll tell you the story. It's based upon settlers not understanding the name of the local river, so it's a total mistake. But we're not here to talk about that. So, Todd, what's going on? What's going on in your world right now? Yeah, I know we talked about community on Monday. We can talk about it again.
Yeah, I am interested in Karen, the website you shared there. I love it. Looking at the the tool it was created in, because I didn't recognize it right away. Kind of scoped that out. Never heard of it. Don't know it. But it's got some
Me either.
features in it, like a discussion forum that seem useful, could be useful. But I'm also interested in this whole notion of like, well, place-based. I used to get paid to like take students to the Grand Canyon to backpack in there for days, and we would read, you know, all kinds of things around conservation and whatever. I took them mountain biking in Utah, and we'd sit in the most beautiful place you can imagine with colored pencils and a sketchbook and draw rock formations. And somehow I stopped doing that. I don't know why, but I am interested also in that first experience, kind of like coming to Canada, I guess, particularly like new faculty coming here. And I've only been here for, in my position in that same damn desk for about 9 years now. And during that time, our new faculty orientation has, I think every single year it's different, and every single year somebody gets added or taken away from it. So there's no real consistency. And in my experience, like many of those new faculty meetings, they're very informational. And a lot of times they're just kind of HR, policy, here's when you get paid. You know, it's just not that inspiring, right? So one, I want to offer one idea towards that. And Alan, I'll put this in the chat. Maybe you could share that in the, oh, wait, I put it in the wrong one. I don't know why this product doesn't let me put links out there.
I don't know either, but
I don't know. I'm not going to complain anymore at all. So anyway, the idea was, and this was back at a community college in Arizona. You know, I mean, the faculty I worked with there were, one, amazing, and two, it was a small, tight community. And we had been doing some kind of reflective writing stuff that was great. But when I left there, my colleague, who was still going to be in charge of it, asked me, like, well, what should we do now, like as a topic or something? And I suggested, what if the faculty that we have here wrote advice for new faculty? And what if they shared like their photo and maybe their email address and a phone number and a little bit like a welcome to our college. We're so excited to have you. I'll help you with anything you want, anytime ever. Here's my phone number. Here's, text me, whatever. What if we made a book that was written by the faculty at the institution for new faculty, and we gave one to every new faculty? Well, they did that. It was amazing. And I think that there's part of the physical nature, the tactile nature of the book, I think is helpful. And I don't know, it was a good idea. They executed it, and it was pretty cool. It's something I would love to get done here, because there is just so much disturbance in the force around here that it seems like that connection is not being made. And of course, if you're like in my work, you get all those calls from the new faculty who have no clue where Canvas is, who have no clue how to use it or otherwise. And, you know, a book like this might send them to a nice faculty member who ultimately in their career path might be way more helpful than the guy here who waters plants, you know? So that would be one thing. It was a good idea. You can make a book. Those things are like $2 each, right? What else? The learning community. So I was going to say, I am part of a learning community as well about teaching and learning on the open web, and about the only thing we really got going here. We don't have an acronym, nor have we had funding since 7 years ago. But we do have a website, and we have done some fun things. Alan, I think you already put that one in there. I'm going to add that podcast to the list of podcasts for you on that site. This, other than my plants, that community is what sustains me at this point in time, because it aligns with my vision of what I'd love my work to be more like. We meet once a month. We've been doing that for almost 9 years. And we somehow have been able to get some pretty remarkable people like Alan here to chat with us. Oh, I know. This is exciting. This came out of the last meeting on Monday. Gardner Campbell, who I sat with at MIT one time on the floor and talked about music for a half an hour, and that's the only time I've ever interacted with him in the real world. Have anybody here used a Quest headset? Oh, man. So I got one less than a year ago, and I definitely am not a power user. I've experimented and done some fun things, but Gardner and I are going to play mini golf together.
Thank God. He's been nagging you for months or a year to get this thing, and it's like, Gardner, I don't have time for headsets.
He said you sent him the video I made, right?
Yeah,
yeah. So,
so you can get him off my back, right?
I know. Well, I have
Gardner.
invited him the last 2 nights in a row, but I think he's like me. He's my only friend in that whole space. I have no friends except
he has his family in it. They all play together. His brother and his wife and his son.
I have nobody. I'm
okay.
all by myself out there.
You can be in Gardner's family now. You can be in his mini golf family.
Here's my idea. I can't wait to do this. We're going to make a little video of Todd and Gardner talking education technology while we're out there playing miniature golf. I can't wait. It's going to be my new thing.
Can you take him into Second Life and do that?
We did that, remember?
Just kidding. Todd's used to me giving him a hard time, right?
Yeah. That's all I got. The book idea is really, I love the idea of a book by existing faculty, written not so much as the information of some hot teaching tip, something they wish they knew, but really push the idea of the person who wrote it really projecting like an invitation to come and share time with the new faculty, because I think that's something that I know is missing.
Yeah. Well, good.
Yeah.
And
we used to do, faculty mentoring networks and orientation, and really, having first and second year faculty coming together was a big thing we used to do at Keene State in our faculty enrichment program that I used to run there too. So definitely important for faculty to get together and share things and talk about stories, and faculty across different stages of their career. It's really interesting, like the first year, second year faculty, from mid-career faculty, from people on the edge of retirement, and the different perspectives that they bring. So it's super valuable.
That's when you're working with that young guy named Mike Caulfield.
That's right, back in the day. Good old Mike and I, yeah.
He worked at Keene, right?
He did, and I worked
I could walk with us right now if you want another tour right over to his office.
Yeah, I know he's that way, and I'm always following what Mike's up to because he's like such a genius and stuff. So we were lucky to have him at Keene. I mean, he was like from the area. That's why he was at Keene State. He's from New Hampshire.
Well, that's
and so we did some stuff with the faculty enrichment program, or faculty learning resources, or whatever the hell we called it back in those days. And yeah,
He was.
Wow.
He was.
That's-
Oh, my
well,
son.
I'm going to walk over there right after this and tell him I was chatting with you.
There you go. That'd be great.
Yeah, I haven't talked. Tell him I said hello too. I haven't talked to him for a while, but
Yeah.
he's just a
Reading his
he's-
Substack stuff. Yeah.
he's a brilliant thinker.
Mhm.
Yeah, he's doing it.
Doing a lot of things with the AI and thinking about how AI doesn't really reason, but does stuff that's like reasoning. It's pretty interesting. It's really interesting.
Yeah, I hope he's not listening right now, but
I doubt
he got hired here at, as the manager of my old team. I got moved out of my old IT team and into academic affairs. And his task for the last year has been essentially redoing lecterns at the university. So it's all microphones and cameras and
Really?
cams and electrical wiring, and I mean
That's what you've got Mike Caulfield doing.
I know, right?
What a waste!
God.
What a waste! Yeah,
He's
you're
doing
squandering him. You are
AV
squandering
support.
Mike Caulfield. That is heartbreaking to me.
I have said that to 100 people,
Yeah.
so I know.
Completely squandering.
Well,
Yeah.
the the question of the background, whether we want to go there or not, is just what are your strategies for staying sane now and finding, keeping the sparks going? Because, I was just in CCCOER was having their kind of EDI, just kind of like people talking about. And, the stuff that's going on is like the things that used to be just in bad sci-fi novels.
That's right. Yeah, burning books and having lists of words you're not allowed to say.
Yeah,
It's crazy. It's crazy.
It's just unreal, and
Yeah.
a lot of it is just I don't know about you, but I don't want to get sucked into reading all the bad news all the time, but it's hard not to.
I'm trying to look for where are the acts of resistance, and sometimes there is good news. I was reading about how more than 1 million government workers didn't follow Elon Musk's order to email him about what they're so that's a big chunk of group non-compliance. So there are good examples of that. So yeah.
I just yesterday submitted this as a super short blurb to the Colorado Consortium for E-Learning or something along those lines. Asked if I wanted to do some kind of presentation over there, and that's what I sent them around what works, because it's not hard to make the web page that describes perfectly how to do something, right? And you send that into an email to 100 people, 4 of them open it, right? And it's nothing new. That same information's been in 1,000 other places on the internet for 30 years. And we're all still sitting here going, well, how come we can't get them? How come we can't reach them? How come they don't know this, And it is definitely something, I struggle with pretty deeply these days. It's the version of I'll put this in here too, Alan. It's just this, where is my community that's helping feed me and that I am also helping, my work is valuable in some fashion to these other people. I just don't see almost none of that anymore, except for wondering if I can hang out and play golf with Gardner or watering my plants or doing just this, right? I mean, this is it. I think I said this on Monday. This is it. This is the thing right here, right now.
Well, I was in part of one of these discussions last week, and there's all these things about, and it's asking we're asking the place or a thing to provide community when we just got to do it ourselves, and it's work. But I'm just losing this this idea or hope for like that the place will provide it, you know. You remember I used to bring it up with Todd. Remember in Phoenix, the master plan communities, and it was like these large suburban developments where every house was the same and you could only have certain colors. And it was just like, you know, and that's what I always thought of when I was told, you know, asked to build communities. I always thought of those sterile looking housing developments in Scottsdale.
Community or cold or like what are they building there?
Yeah.
And I think you're right, Alan. Like I think you and I used to chat about this when we were working at OEGlobal together too, when we talked about building community. Like people are like, where's the community? Where do I find it? Show it to me. And we kept saying, you need to show up and be the community, not stop looking for community and be the community. Right. And that fits in a lot of contexts. So, yeah.
And, you know, for, you know, Robert and Todd on campus, there's a little bit of, I mean, there's kind of a somewhat of a community. There's proximity and, you know, you see people. But I wonder if also there's a feeling even on campuses of a different degree of connectedness that maybe not. I don't know.
I don't know, man. I'm pretty lonely here these days. Like, you know, not because I don't work with amazing people, but I think, and I know there's very full disclosure, I walk to work every day and I walk home for lunch every day. You know, that, I mean, I am one of probably 3 of the 500 employees at this university that actually can do that. So I recognize that sets me up is in a very different place. But, you know, I think during COVID, we all panicked and we learned what Zoom could do for us, or for many of us, it was kind of what Google Hangouts had done and then Skype had done before that. But it was done in a way where like we couldn't go to the office and water the plants anymore. You had to stay home and you had to use Zoom. And now things are really different. And I think that's what I feel a lot of here in my, because I'm very place-based, right? Like I pay a lot of attention to the physical space I'm in, here and at home or wherever I am. And I miss a lot of that.
I think it can be quite different what the students' experience of community is on a campus as well. Like maybe we're not even in touch with that. Like where are they gathering? Where are their spaces? Are they getting together in dorms or in the town or in the hallways or in science labs like they used to where I worked? And so there are pockets of communities that we may not even have access to when it comes to our students.
Right, Robert, at Norquest, I mean, any like things you can sort of observe as like how the environment may feel different now than it did a couple of years ago? Or?
Well, I do think that COVID had a permanent impact because most of my team works at home still, and I don't think we'll go back. But I think that the online tools have become much more robust in terms of supporting community. You know, we use Microsoft Teams at Norquest, and that's the principal means of communication and sharing information, etc. I do miss the birthday parties and the birthday cake and stuff like that. But, you know, occasionally I go onto campus and we still have, you know, the occasional meeting on campus. So it's always great to see people, you know, face to face. That is something that I do miss from time to time.
What is an axolotl? Axolotl?
Oh, yeah. The axolotls are really cool amphibians that are often used in developmental biology research. They have these external gills. We can Google image some pictures of them. They've sort of taken on this sort of like, people think they're so cute. Like they have these little cartoon images of them. Oh gosh, I guess
it's a good thing we have a biology expert in the room.
Here, I'll share my
salamander-like, right?
screen for a sec.
Okay. Show us some axolotl. See, you never know what's going to happen in one of
You
these
never
sessions,
know what's going
folks.
to happen. The Peter Pan of salamanders.
Oh, holy cow. Oh, that's freaky.
Aren't they awesome? They're super interesting amphibians, and yeah, they have these external gills, unlike a lot of other lunged salamanders. And we can talk about evolution next, but we won't.
That's cool.
Yeah.
In the chat, we have they're dumb as rocks. Well, see, like I love it when I learn something I didn't expect to. I couldn't have anticipated this in any means. Axolotls. Okay.
Well,
so,
go ahead.
No, you. I was just blabbing.
I agree, Karen. Yeah. One thing that, I mean, just this sense of community, like what we're doing right now, to me, is so interesting. Some of you, Karen, you probably know DS-106, but early on with that, I mean, people were like, I remember Brian Jackson, Alan?
Yeah.
I don't know if
teacher,
Karen
guitar
or Roger,
player. Yeah.
you remember him? Yeah, but
Yeah.
like he beamed me into one of his graduate courses to talk about something. I beamed him. This was all back in Skype land or whatever tool we were using. But it was so great to have that interaction digitally that was outside of our university. Alan, I put a link in the private chat there to that informal learning networks.
Oh yeah.
Alan was a part of this, founder of this thing called the Cyber Salon, which really just to me epitomized like professional development in a way that made it so much richer. And it was just people monthly hanging out with one another in a bar and talking shop, and that's still to this day, it was unquestionably the best moments in my professional development.
It was actually Shelley Rodrigo at Maricopa. And it was a thing because when I started at Maricopa, there was so much that was done internally, and then there was a period where a lot of those things just went away, almost like we're talking about here. And she said, I miss this, and kind of came up with an informal PD environment that existed outside of the institution. Just anybody who wanted to show up and share some food and drink, and we'd be there with our laptops. It was just, we had to find a bar with wireless, and we just talk shop, kind of like this, except we don't have the drinks and the food yet, but we'll see if StreamYard can do that
soon.
Yeah, it just was, and like this, this makes my day, right? This is the thing I was looking forward to the most today, out of all.
Thank you, Todd.
Things here and there,
Well, good, and you give it right back. So there you go. Well,
I did have to I literally did get a haircut yesterday. Just whoever that is.
Just for this, right?
I've for probably 8 months, my wife and daughters have been telling me I needed a haircut. So there you go.
Okay, we got that covered. Any last words on something that y'all are looking forward to in the next couple of weeks or near future?
Surviving mini golf with Gardner.
MIT 2026. So looking forward to that.
Yeah, absolutely.
The Allen Institute Open Science Institute for undergraduates in Seattle.
Oh yeah.
So looking forward to that.
Yeah, actually, Robin in the chat, she's responsible. She suggested we have a happy hour.
Great idea.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it's going to be, I'm resorting to Zoom just because we can just open it up and anybody who wants to show up and just hang out, all the OEWeek junkies. We've had a great response. There's stuff going on around the world that's just so hard to catch up. No begging. It was easy to do. Yeah.
Is that true? Or you actually? How come I don't know about that?
Oh, I'll find the link for it. Let's see. Someone talk a little bit while I rummage around in the link pile.
I just wanted to say, like, in terms of looking forward to things, we made some really great connections at OEGlobal Brisbane, and I'm really looking forward to cultivating some of those partnerships. And it's just such a great forum to meet other people and to learn what people are doing, in terms of open. And it was just some great possibilities for connecting about, as I mentioned, land-based learning, maybe collaborating with MIT on some projects, maybe, with other universities in Australia, related to Indigenous studies. So some great international connections that we can cultivate, gives me a sense of optimism in these dark times.
Good. And I'm still after you and Darian and Dawn. We got to do something on braiding. We have to get some activity going. I really want to have like a conscientious effort to actually do it as an action item.
We are doing our presentation again, the métissage, tomorrow.
Oh, you are? Okay.
Yeah, at 11 a.m. So, yeah, feel free to drop in, or,
Okay. And that's one that's available on.
Should be available on Teams. You should be able to go in. I think it's on the OEGlobal website. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'll leave it as exercise for the students to find that.
Yeah.
You put enough time with me, so. Look, why am I clicking my Zoom button? Sorry about that. I'm having a little bit of technology overload here. Thank you, everybody, people out there in internet land, and of course, always love to see you, Karen and Robert. We got to find ways to see each other, because I can just look due west and I can see Robert smiling, and Todd, I have to look a little bit farther. You'll hear from me. Todd and I are phone buddies. He just calls me out of the blue. It's like if you've never done that, like just call someone you haven't heard from in a long time and surprise them. You say, "Hey, I just want to say hi."
I would never hear you say that. That's amazing.
Well, thanks for inviting me.
Yeah,
it's really great to be here.
Yes.
Thank you.
Nice to meet you all.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes,
Thanks, Alan.
All right. Take care, everybody.
We're closing out with the video, and the stream will stop.